That party was the first time I actually got drunk, and I did it all to impress a girl. If you follow me on Instagram, and if you don't, you definitely should, you may notice that sometimes when I post my current day of NoFap, I also post my other tracking of no alcohol and no smoking. Why do I post these alongside NoFap? Do I have an addiction to alcohol and smoking as strong as to porn and masturbation? Well, sit back, relax, and smash that like button and keep watching, because this is the story of why and how I quit smoking and alcohol. Well, okay, it's not as dramatic as I made it out to be, as I'm not an alcoholic or addicted to smoking. Well, to smoking I was addicted, but not anymore. So all my childhood and early teenage years, I was always really against smoking and drinking, and whenever I would see people actually doing these things, I would just really question it and really don't understand why people were doing this to themselves. I mean, I was bombarded by all the commercials on the TV of why smoking is bad and why alcohol is bad. And as a kid, you don't really question these things, like you just maybe see something and just understand it on a superficial level and don't really think about the deeper parts of it, either if it's good or bad. You just form an opinion. At least that was with me. And of course, when you are young, you are still curious. So there were times when my parents' friends came over, and when they would leave a glass unattended, I would try to taste a bit of the alcohol. Or there was this one time when my dad finished smoking his cigarette and just threw it on the ground and walked away, and I just picked it up and tried to smoke it. Both times I didn't enjoy it, and that just further enhanced my opinion of why smoking and drinking is a waste of time and money. Fast forward to when I was about 16, and I met this one girl at a birthday party who was a mutual friend of the birthday girl, let's call her that. We just met eyes and kind of seemed into each other, and the birthday girl actually noticed this, and since we were both her friends, she was eager to set us up for a date, and long story short, the date happened. So we met up, we walked a bit, chatted, and I remember that when I started sharing my views of why I don't drink or smoke, she kinda lost interest in the whole date. And I remember that in the evening when the date was finished, I texted the birthday girl, my friend, maybe for some answers, because the girl seemed really into me, like, for the whole date, and like the last chunk of the date, when I mentioned alcohol and smoking, she just lost interest completely. Well, the birthday girl said this, listen. So she said that she doesn't like good guys and she likes only bad boys. And when I mentioned my not smoking and drinking habits, she just lost interest, because like she realized that I'm too good. Like, me not drinking alcohol and smoking is somehow not cool. 16-year-olds, I tell you, man. Anyways, with this information in mind, sometime later that year, there was another birthday party that I was invited to by my classmate. And that party was the first time I actually got drunk. And I did it all to impress a girl. So yes, I tried alcohol to show that I'm cool, I guess. And that was just the time when I deeply cared of what people thought of me, and I made my friends film while I was drinking, and I sent it to either the birthday girl or the girl, like the main girl. So, and she was impressed by it, but like, I'm not sure. I think she wanted to go on a second date, but I don't remember if that date actually happened. And this was my first introduction to alcohol. And since that party, I would start drinking at other parties. Not to any dangerous like amount, like drinking every week, but I would, when there was a celebration, I would drink with my friends. And I remember I was still against smoking at that time because, well, I have my father as an example. He was a smoker since 16 years old, and I just hated whenever he would smoke near me, because the smell of cigarettes actually instantly gave me a headache, and I just couldn't imagine smoking myself. Fast forward a few more years. I am 18, my now ex-girlfriend left me, I started to get into NoFap. Then I discovered Medievella, I discovered minimalism, I decluttered my room. You guys already know the story, but if you don't, click here to find out. So I slowly began to lose interest in alcohol. I just realized that I can't drink one beer casually with my friends. I mean, I can, but my mentality back then was that if you don't get drunk, then what's the point of even drinking? And also, like, since I had that mentality, the hangovers really sucked, and they take away a day from your life when you just feel sluggish and you just can't do anything productive during that day. There were times when I would still drink, but it happened really infrequently, like every 4 months or so. And I remember at that time being really pressured by my parents to go and study. And I actually started studying. It was like, I'm gonna roughly translate this from Lithuanian to English. It was like multimedia studies, so you could learn everything from photography to video making. At least that's what I thought these studies were about. Anyways, when I actually started to study and realized that we were learning photography from books, that's when I realized that it's not worth it to go another 4 years of this schooling type method, and just it didn't appeal to me, and I actually would be going in debt if I were to study there. So I just dropped out, and during that time I was traveling with Erasmus Plus to these youth exchange programs, and that's what I pretty much did for the next 6 months after I dropped out, and that's when I discovered smoking. Well, it wasn't exactly at these projects, as my first introduction to smoking was actually vaping, and it was back then when, for that short period of time when I was actually studying, my group mates gave me an electronic cigarette to try. So after that, I bought my own electronic cigarette, and for the next months, I would just smoke that. And when I came to these Erasmus projects, at some point, I started actually smoking regular cigarettes because the liquids for the electronic cigarettes were not that common in like different places where I traveled over the world. So I smoked and vaped for more than 3 months, and it's been like, as of now, it's been like 3 months since I last smoked my electronic cigarette or regular cigarette. I don't remember, but even before that there were like intermittent times where, like, in two months apart, when I would smoke something, maybe my dad would give me something, I would smoke that, and then 2 months later I wouldn't smoke. Just these like were irregular times, because as of now and as of those 3 months ago, I started to just pushing myself to live a more natural and sober life, and that's my mentality, and I don't intend of going back to smoking or drinking ever again. Smoking just became something too addictive because I just can't smoke a few cigarettes in a day. I have to like smoke the whole pack of cigarettes. I was just too influenced from stoicism to live a more disciplined and focused life, which was to just experience life sober and clear-minded. And that's the mentality I still have till today. And by any means, I'm not shaming anyone for drinking or smoking if it's like one time in a month at a party or something like that. Of course, if you have a problem and begin to form an addiction, that's when I think that you should do something about it. Because the way I see it, we were all born into this world sober, and just to live a fulfilled and happy life, you don't need to drink or smoke. But anyways, there's nothing wrong with it. You just have to have balance, as with everything in life. Even some of the Stoics would enjoy a glass of wine or some more extravagant cheese on occasions, and that's what balance is all about. That's why drinking too much one night then results in a hangover which takes over the day, and that means just stepping over the balance, and that's why it happens. Even though giving up drinking and smoking was a very good decision for me, it still sometimes proves to be inconvenient, let's say that. Because when you go out with people or you participate in parties, that's pretty much what they always do. They just drink and smoke to have a good time. And if you don't do these things, there aren't many reasons to actually go to these parties or these get-togethers. Unless you just... Because maybe it's like fun at first, but then once everybody is drunk, it's just nothing more than babysitting and just entertainment, I guess, to just see what dumb things people do. But if that's entertaining for you, I mean, by any means, I'm not bashing it. It's just that for me, I'd rather just go to dinner with my best friend or something like that and talk about life instead of going to parties, even though I don't really get invited to that many parties. There will be sacrifices. There's always sacrifices and the fear of missing out, but you have to take into consideration of what life you want to live. If you constantly go out and drink and spend money, maybe it's time for some balance and to actually maybe go out once a month. Or maybe you think that smoking makes you look like a zombie, and just the amount of money you spend every day on cigarettes each day adds up to a significant amount. So maybe it's time to take a break from that. There will be parties you will miss and there will be friends you will lose, but think about the long term for yourself and keep the balance. Thank you for watching this video, and if you enjoyed it and found this story informative and useful, please leave a like, as that really helps out my channel a lot, and also subscribe for weekly self-improvement content. Don't forget to share your stories in the comments down below of either you planning to stop, or maybe you already stopped, or just you don't want to stop drinking and smoking, and why. Be sure to follow me on Instagram for almost daily content, and if you want to increase this channel's quality and support me in the process, I really encourage you guys to go and support me on my Patreon and my PayPal, and everything, all the links to social medias and all the support pages are gonna be in the description down below. All the help is really appreciated, and thank you again guys for watching this video, and stay on your journey.